They knelt her to the ground for being black, but when she stood up, she wore the robe of justice. Microphone hash before this story begins. Take a moment to subscribe to the channel. Because stories like this, of injustice, courage, and truth, deserve to be heard. Together, we can give a voice to those who have been silenced. Subscribe now to Pushpin Wealth and Wounds and stand with justice. It was a calm, sunny morning in Atlanta. The streets glowed gold beneath the rising sun, and birds sang across the courthouse lawn. Judge Amira Cole, a woman of grace and grit, sipped her coffee as she prepared to leave home. Her black robe hung on the back of her chair. Beside it sat a framed photo of her late husband, Marcus, a veteran who'd passed away 2 years prior. Their teenage son, Eli, was a world now, 15 years old, bright-eyed, and always asking questions about justice. Eli, grinning, "You think one day I could be a judge too, Mom?" Amira, "You can be anything, baby. But being fair, that's the hardest part of power." She kissed him on the forehead and walked toward her car, unaware that within the next few hours, her entire reputation, dignity, and identity would be ripped apart on a suburban street. 2 ICE officers in a black SUV waited down the block, running surveillance on a suspected immigrant fugitive. The description they had was vague: black female, mid-40s, driving a grey sedan. When Amira's grey Lexus turned the corner, one officer, Agent Doran, tapped his partner. "Doran, that's her. Gotta be." Agent Mills, "Let's verify the plate." Doran, impatient, "We'll confirm later. Let's move." The SUV pulled out sharply, sirens blaring. Amira looked in her rearview mirror, startled. Amira, to herself, what on earth? She slowed, expecting to be waved around. But instead, the officers leapt out, guns drawn. "Officer Doran, hands where I can see 'em. Step out of the vehicle, now." Her heart pounded. She obeyed, voice trembling but calm. "Amira, officers, please. There must be a mistake." "Doran, save it. You match the description. Kneel." Eli, sitting in the passenger seat, panicked. "Eli, she's a judge. My mom's a judge." Mills, mocking, "Oh yeah? And I'm the president." Neighbors started filming from porches. A woman in her own driveway shouted, "She's a judge, not a criminal." But the officers didn't stop. Amira's knees hit the pavement. The ground was hot. Her son's cries echoed as her dignity was stripped away, all because 2 men decided her skin tone was close enough. The video hit social media by nightfall. Black woman detained by ICE. She's a state judge. Within hours, it had millions of views. Reporters camped outside the courthouse. Protesters gathered with signs reading "Justice for Judge Cole" and "Enough is enough." Behind closed doors, Amira faced her colleagues. Some offered sympathy. Others, caution. Chief Judge Patel, "Amira, maybe take a few days off." "Amira, take a few days off? They knelt me to the ground in front of my child. And you want me to rest?" Her voice cracked, but her eyes hardened. "Amira, no. I'm going back to work tomorrow. And when I do, I'll be wearing this robe, not because it gives me power, but because it reminds me who I am." Microphone hash if this story moves you, if you believe no one deserves to be humiliated for their skin color or mistaken for a criminal because of bias, subscribe right now to Pushpin Wealth and Wounds. Let's keep telling stories that the world needs to hear. Days later, Judge Amira returned to her bench. Cameras flashed. Whispers filled the courtroom. And fate, cruelly poetic, brought Agent Doran and Mills into her courtroom. They were there for an unrelated immigration case, as witnesses. But when the bailiff announced, "All rise for the Honorable Judge Amira Cole," both men froze. Her gavel struck the wood like thunder. "Amira, be seated." She stared directly at the officers. They shifted uncomfortably, avoiding eye contact. "Amira, Agent Doran, Agent Mills, you swore to uphold the law. Yet, days ago, you violated it." The courtroom held its breath. Doran, stammering, "Your Honor, with all due respect." Amira, "No, you will respect the law. You detained an American citizen, humiliated her in front of her child, without confirmation or cause. You drew weapons on an unarmed woman because she fit a description." Gasps filled the air. The tension was electric. The agent's lawyer tried to interrupt, but Amira raised a hand. Amira, I am not here for vengeance. I am here for justice. She signed a motion transferring their misconduct report to the Department of Justice for civil rights violations. Amira, if found guilty, gentlemen, you could face up to 10 years in federal prison. Now, proceed with your testimony. The power had shifted completely. News broke across every network. Judge who was racially profiled now oversees case of her own detainers. Some called it poetic justice. Others called it divine irony. But Amira called it accountability. Eli watched from the gallery, tears in his eyes. He saw his mother, once on her knees, now commanding a courtroom with grace and strength. Later that evening, she drove home in silence. Her son reached out, touching her hand. Eli, Mom, you didn't just fight back. You made history. She smiled softly. Amira, no, baby. We just told the truth, and that's stronger than any weapon. Months later, an anonymous letter arrived at Amira's office. Inside was a photo of her, taken the day of the arrest, and a note written in all caps. They weren't working alone. Beneath the note was a court file number from an internal investigation, one tied to a senator's name. Amira froze. The arrest hadn't been random. It had been ordered. Her heart pounded. She picked up her phone and called her assistant. Amira, get me everything you can on case file 9083R. This isn't over. And as the lights of the city glowed outside her window, she whispered, Amira, if they wanted silence, they picked the wrong judge. Microphone Hash, if this story inspired you, if it made you feel the weight of injustice and the power of truth, don't stay silent. Like, comment, and share this video. Subscribe to Pushpin Wealth and Wounds for more stories that uncover the truth and honor resilience.